For something that costs a few $100 and doesn't seem to take very long for it to break even and then be purely profitable, and the ease of use and the amount of information that you need, the amount of education that you need in order to set this up is almost nothing. I can explain this all in a video. This is absolutely ridiculous. And that's why I'm starting with Helium. As many of you know, I'm focusing intensely on passive income right now. I'm taking my profits from businesses and crypto and other investments, and I'm trying to put them in financial vehicles that will allow me to continue making money without me having to put any work into them, without me watching charts and doing research on fundamentals and all these other things. So on top of staking and lending, I'm also getting into crypto mining. As always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. You should always do your own research and never invest more than you can afford to lose. However, if you do plan on moving forward with any of the ideas that I'm digging into, I would be extremely appreciative if you were to go down to the show notes and use one of my referral links. You'll get a discount, my channel will get some support, and I will be super appreciative. We'll both feel really warm and fuzzy, so it's a win-win, right? Also, make sure you've subscribed and you've got the alert notifications on so you don't miss out on any of my future content. I am focused on generating passive income, and I'm sharing what I am learning and doing with you guys. So in case you're looking to set up some streams of passive cash flow, what I like to call lazy money, coma cash, because you can fall asleep, wake up in 6 months, and you've only got more money, you're definitely going to want to check out the stuff that I'm going to be bringing to you, and check out the other videos I have on my channel. In another video, I discussed why I am starting off by mining helium. In this video, I'm going to tell you how I figured out that you can make even more money with your helium miner, because that's what it's all about, right? We want to make sure that we're maxing things out. We're getting optimal levels of income from whatever efforts we're putting forward. Well, fortunately with the helium miner, there's almost no effort, but I've found some tips and tricks that will allow you to make even more money from your helium miners. How much more? Well, one simple trick could allow you to make 2,000 times more per week with your miner, depending on how you set it up. In a previous video, I mentioned that it doesn't make a lot of sense to have a bunch of helium miners in one area. With traditional mining rigs, there's no problem doing that. In fact, it makes a lot of sense to have a warehouse full of Bitcoin miners because you're able to have everything in one area, watch all of your machines, get a nice efficient setup, pay rent at one place, have all the cooling systems set up. But when it comes to helium miners, you're actually providing a node within a network. So you're looking to expand the coverage. And I made the comparison to helium miners and cell phone towers, in that you wouldn't want to have a bunch of cell phone towers all in one area. The coverage within that one area would be great, but in reality, the coverage of the entire network would kind of suck because the network is very limited. Imagine just having a bunch of cell phone towers on one block. You'll have great coverage on that block, but the overall network is going to be pretty ineffective and useless to everybody else, right? The inherent genius of the helium network is that there's not as much of a benefit to have a room or a warehouse full of helium miners, because like I said, it'd be like having a bunch of cell phone towers in one area. But I didn't say it didn't make sense to own multiple helium miners. In fact, I've seen people reporting over 2,000% increase in their mining profits just by buying a second miner. But how does that make sense? I just got done telling you it doesn't make sense to have a bunch of miners. No, I told you it didn't make sense to have a bunch of helium miners in one area. But if you have the ability to have multiple miners in different areas, specifically at least 500 meters apart, which for Americans, that's about a third of a mile. Now we're taking those cell phone antennas and moving one to the other side of the city. You're providing much better coverage and dramatically increasing the integrity of the network. So now where can you put it? Well, it has to be somewhere that has a power source and you have access to the Wi-Fi connection, because those are really the only two things that you need to set it up. So think outside the box. Aside from where you live, would you be able to put it at your work? Would you be able to put it at your friend's house, a relative's house, maybe the workplace of a friend or relative, maybe a friend's dorm? Now, another tip I have for you is think about it as an antenna. The higher up it is, the better. You're able to have direct line of sight with more locations the further up the node is. You also don't want your miners to be too close to other miners because it won't be as effective. You'll kind of be like fishing out of the same pond. If you're able to spread out a bit more, it gives everyone more opportunity to make more money. But how are you going to know where to place your miner? Helium's already got that figured out for you. In fact, they've got a coverage map that looks a lot like this, and you're able to actually look at your area and figure out where there are miners and where there's a gap in the network where you could provide a node and increase the network and increase your profits. That might give you an idea as to which one of your friends or relatives would be best for housing the node. Now again, as I mentioned in the first video, these things are so efficient that I've heard people say that they cost like $1 of electricity per month. So even if you have to throw your friends a few bucks for plugging this thing in and you're making hundreds of dollars off of it, I think you're going to be able to justify that expense. So let's zoom into Florida and I'll give you an idea as to what kind of areas already have networks and where you'd be able to position your miner to make some money. Now, if you're familiar with Florida, you'll kind of get an idea as to why the nodes are. Now, if you're familiar with Florida, you probably have a good idea as to why the nodes are bunched up in these areas. As you can see towards the top, we've got a few nodes at Jacksonville. That's one of the large cities within Florida. We've got some in the Northwest out at Tallahassee. That's where FSU is, one of our major universities. You can see there's also a cluster in Gainesville. So between Tallahassee and Gainesville, there's not a whole lot going on there aside from the fact that both of those have major universities. So those are probably all owned by college kids. Then we've got Orlando right there in the middle. Everyone knows what Orlando is. That's where Disney World is. So Mickey Mouse is obviously hip to the helium mining opportunities. Then to the west, we've got Tampa. Everyone's heard of Tampa. And now at the southeast, that's where I'm located, we've got West Palm, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami, all along that west coast. So as you can see, as we zoom in, the larger counties being Broward and Dade obviously have a higher concentration of miners. Miami's a pretty big city down here. So as we zoom into Miami, we can see the clusters. And as I said, they're most efficient when they are at least 500 meters apart. It just extends the network more efficiently. And as I said before, it keeps people from fishing out of the same pond, so to speak. As we get into the downtown Miami area where there's a lot of condos, a lot of residences, you see that's where the biggest clusters are. So if I were these people, while they probably have great coverage because there's a lot of high rises right there and they're able to really extend their network, you could also see that they're all very close to each other, so they're probably not making a great deal of money. Now we zoom out and then we can head up to this other cluster. Now this is going to be North Miami area, Aventura. We head up to this next cluster. It's going to be Fort Lauderdale. These are all major cities. So you see the correlation here. The big cities have the most amount of people, the most amount of miners, and there are pros and cons to that because not only is it easy to join an existing network, which is good because you don't want to be out in the middle of nowhere where there's no network and there are no people using your network. The con is that it might be too dense and there might be too many existing miners already there. Now, I'm based out of Boca Raton, and that's what we're looking at right now. As you can see, there's a lot of opportunity here in Boca Raton. So theoretically, I might be able to make more money than somebody who's in the heart of Miami and is surrounded by other miners. I want to show you someone I found who seems to be killing it. I think it's this miner right here. And you can see how much they're actually making in the last 24 hours, the last 30 days. Go over, click on them, then you go to rewards. This one is making 100 helium in 30 days. So within the last 30 days, they made 100 helium. Now again, I told you, helium's current price is $14. So this is $1,400 that this person has made by plugging in a helium miner, connecting it to Wi-Fi, connecting it to an app. That wasn't even the impressive one. Let me see if I could find this one. Here we go. I think it's this guy. Or gal, we don't know. This is it. Sit down because you're gonna need to when you see this, how much this dude's making, or dudette. All right, clicking on rewards. 436 helium times 14. Let me break out the calculator because I went to public school. That's $6,100 in 30 days. This person might be in a coma for all we know, and they made $6,100 in the last 30 days. How much have you made in the last 30 days, and how much of your time, blood, sweat, and tears did it take? This is what I'm talking about. This is passive income. Now, your results probably won't be anything like this. Let's say they won't. But for something that costs a few $100 and doesn't seem to take very long for it to break even and then be purely profitable, and the ease of use and the amount of information that you need, the amount of education that you need in order to set this up is almost nothing. I can explain this all in a video. This is absolutely ridiculous. And that's why I'm starting with Helium. Now again, this isn't financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, yada, yada, yada. But if you do have interest in getting into helium mining with me, then check out the links below because they will give you a great discount on this amazing opportunity, and I think it's a no-brainer personally. I've got several rigs on their way and I will have more content coming. It might already be up and ready, so check out my other videos, see my other content. Maybe I've already done my analysis of the rigs, and I've got a bunch of plans for content once I have the rigs, setting them up, putting them in different areas. I have different brands so I can A, B, and C test them and tell you which rigs work the best. But I would definitely look into investing into this. At least if you're not convinced yet, do some research and get into it. Again, the links are in the show notes below for some discounts, and it would support my channel. I'd be super, super appreciative if you were to use them. And make sure that you are subscribed and you have the alert notifications on so you don't miss out on any of the future content I have. Check out the other playlists that I have on my channel and the other videos I have on my channel that are related to this kind of stuff, because if you found this interesting, probably going to find that stuff interesting. I will look forward to bringing you more content like this, telling you more about what I'm doing, what I'm learning. I've got more content on mining helium and mining other cryptocurrencies, as well as other ways to make passive income through staking and lending and all sorts of other things. So make sure that you are subscribed, you got the alert notifications on, and until my next episode, I will look forward to bringing you more information on this to hopefully allow you to make some passive income right along with me, and we can all achieve financial freedom, or at the very least, at least pay for gas in the tank and maybe a couple of beers at the end of the week, right?